Okay. Hello. Okay. Well, let's get started. Good morning, everyone, to the Matias Romero Institute. Let me, at the outset, introduce the presidium members. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Korea, Park Jim, Republic of Korea. Welcome to the Diplomatic Academy of Mexico. Our Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Carmen Moreno, and the Director General for Asian and Pacific Affairs, Fernando González Saife. Distinguished Minister of Foreign Affairs, it's an honor and privilege to have you here at the Matias Romero Institute, the Diplomatic Academy of Mexico. The audiences, as we mentioned some minutes ago, the youngest generation of Mexican diplomats are here. They are about to finalize their studies and the training here at the Institute. There are also students from universities in the Mexico City area, interested, of course, in to know more about what is happening and the foreign policy of your country, and some experts and students dedicated to analyze what is happening now in the Asian region. Some other members of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Ambassador, welcome, and welcome to delegation of the Republic of Korea. We are so enthusiastic to listen your master conference about the foreign policy of your country and the relation with Mexico. So the floor is yours first.
Buenos días a todos. Nice to meet you. I don't speak Spanish very well, but I learned Spanish when I was a student in graduate school for about 6 months, but ever after I didn't use my Spanish, but today I will try a little bit. Since now I'm in a very prestigious institute. Me llamo Park Jin. Soy el ministro de Relaciones Exteriores de la República de Corea. Estimado señor Alejandro Alday, director general del Instituto Matias Romero, and Vice Minister Morena, and Director General González, yes. Y a todos ustedes quienes liderarán el futuro de la diplomacia. Es un placer de conocerles. Escuché que el Instituto Matias Romero fue fundado en memoria del gran diplomático mexicano, señor Matias Romero. Es un honor visitar a este instituto, la incubadora de talento que impulsa la política exterior de México. Does it make sense? Thank you. Thank you. Preparing today's lecture, I asked ChatGPT a simple question. I said, what are the 5 best things that Mexicans love about Korea? There was a smart answer. more smart than I thought. It said, first is K-pop and K-drama. Maybe. This is my favorite. Tudu is my favorite. I like it more than Shutdown. Just 2 weeks ago, I know the Blackpink donned sombreros and held their concert right here in Mexico City, attracting some 100,000 audiences chigones, fans. And I know the foreign minister, Marcelo Eduardo, also attended the concert with his wife. Also K-dramas, such as Extraordinary Attorney Woo in last year, and Crash Course in Romance this year joined the top 10 ranks in Mexican Netflix, in between the many telenovelas. K-Wave SNS followers in Mexico amount to about 1 million fans, which is great. I hope maybe some of you are Korean culture fans. Second is Korean cuisine. Even before the K-pop and K-drama, Korean food gained popularity in Mexico and the Mexican community in the United States. The Korean food uses red pepper paste in various dishes. It's like a fermentation dish, including kimchi, our daily energizer, and tteokbokki, the spicy rice cake, and buldak 볶음면. This is a fire chicken noodle. It's very spicy for me and my wife. But I used to think that the Korean pepper was the most strongest, which I'm wrong. Compared to Mexican habaneros, it was nothing. Chili peppers are native to Mexico, introduced to Korea by Portuguese traders in the late 16th century. I think one of the reasons that Mexicans like Korean food is the sense of familiarity and historical connections they sense in seeing how Koreans use peppers in our dishes. Third is beauty products. Beauty products. What do you think is the major difference between the Korean and the Western cosmetics? Anybody? Yes. Okay. You are certainly expert in that. Cosmetics. My wife told me that while the Western cosmetics tend to focus on using makeup to cover flaws, Korean cosmetics emphasize complexion and skin care, blemish-free, hydrated, and almost porcelain-like skin. Do you agree? Okay. Number 4 is technology and innovation. Korean technology and innovation. It is flattering to hear that Mexico, home to one of the world's most ancient and advanced civilizations, appreciate Korea's technology and innovation. Korean-made products have proved their durability and high quality in the harsh climate of Mexico. Many Korean firms producing in Mexico symbolize the reliable and durable future partnership in Korea and Mexico. Fifth is the culture. Mexico's love for K-pop, drama, cuisine, and Korean manufactured goods reflects increasing interest in Korea's culture in general. The Autonomous University of Nayarit in Mexico, I haven't been to the school yet, but I heard about it, was the first university to open Korean studies major in Latin America. So Mexico is certainly a pioneer in that sense. Mexico is the only Spanish-speaking country, Spanish-speaking Latin American country to have 2 King Sejong branches of Korean Language Institute. King Sejong is the most respected king in the history of Korea who invented Korean alphabet. So we put his name on the Korean Institute. It's the King Sejong Institute. Korea has now become one of the fastest growing language in Mexico, and it is the 7th most popular languages in the world now. So many people want to learn Korean language. And I think it's perhaps the result of the popularity of the Korean drama and films and Korean K-pop music, perhaps. Next, I typed in reverse question. What are the 5 best things that Koreans love about Mexico? Again, very smart answer. First is, of course, Mexican food. I love tacos myself. I'm going to have tacos for lunch today. I like pork carnitas tacos and shrimp fajitas served with salsa mexicana. Mexican dishes are famous for using fresh ingredients like tomatoes, onions, and cilantro, which add bright color and depth of taste to the dishes. And of course, we have to thank Mexicans for introducing guava, papaya, avocado, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, and vanilla to the world. These are the recommended recipe from my wife every morning. She says, you have to eat this. From tacos to burritos, enchiladas to fajitas, Mexican food has become a staple in Korea's cool young generations. Mexico also has a rich and diverse tradition of alcoholic beverages, from tequila and mezcal to beer and cocktails, margarita, enjoyed both within Mexico and around the world. Mexico's Corona was crowned the world's most valuable beer brand in 2022. Second is rich Mexican culture, of course. Mexico's cultural achievements are many and diverse, spanning the field of art, music, movie, and literature, reflecting Mexico's rich and complex history. The couple Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera are 2 of Mexico's famous celebrated artists, also very much loved in Korea. Traditional folk songs, La Bamba and Besame Mucho, composed by Consuelo Velázquez in 1940, has become a classic of Latin American music and has been covered by many artists in different languages, of course, including Korean. Mexico has produced many notable movie directors who gained international recognition, including Alfonso Cuarón, who won 3 Oscars. His works, Gravity, Roma, and Harry Potter, The Prisoner of Azkaban, enjoy great fandom in Korea as well. Indeed, Mexico is a country that has a wealth of talent and intellectual curiosity, resulting in several of its nationals winning the Nobel Prize. It is remarkable that 2 of the 3 Nobel laureates were diplomats, Alfonso Robles and Octavio Paz. Alfonso Robles won the Nobel Prize in 1982 for his work in promoting nuclear disarmament and peace in Latin America. This is what we need on the Korean Peninsula now. Exploring Mexican identity, history, and culture, Octavio Paz won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1990. Mario Molina won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1995 for discovering the effects of CGC on the ozone layer. And Maria Molina's father was also a diplomat. So it's very impressive that diplomatic community in Mexico has produced the most intelligent and also pioneers in the areas of science and literature and disarmament. Third is Mexico's nature. Mexico recorded a total of 51 million tourists in 2020, ranking 3rd in the world. World's most spectacular beaches of Acapulco in the Pacific Ocean and Cancun in the Gulf of Mexico, its forest, the desert, and the biodiversity is attracting many Korean tourists, including myself. I love mountain climbing on weekends. We have many beautiful mountains in Korea. The highest mountain I've ever tried is called Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia, 4,095 meters. It is a regret. I don't have much time to climb the mountains this time. The Popocatépetl, Popocatépetl and Ixtaccíhuatl very difficult to pronounce. The second and the third tallest mountains in Mexico. Perhaps I'll try next time. Recently, the pristine beaches of Bacalar was introduced to Koreans through a new cooking travel reality show called Genie's Kitchen. Has anybody seen this? Oh, okay. Was it good? Yeah. There was a member of BTS. V was in there, right? The TV show is about Korean celebrities opening a Korean restaurant in Bacalar. The steps include V, a member of boy band BTS. I'm sorry. Choi Woo-sik from the movie Parasite. Park Seo-jun from the drama Itaewon Class. So they all got together to work for a Korean restaurant in Bacalar. I'd like to visit the restaurant myself. Okay, so this is a clip. Wonderful place. So I'm confident that many Korean tourists and K-Wave fans will be visiting Bacalar for summer vacation this year. Fourth is Mexican hospitality. Mexican hospitality and friendliness are well known and widely appreciated by visitors to this country. Family and community are highly valued in Mexican culture like Korea. And people prioritize spending time with their loved ones, building strong social connections. This emphasis on community extends to interactions with foreigners and tourists as Mexicans go out of their way to make others feel welcome and comfortable. Mexican hospitality is a reflection of the country's rich cultural heritage and strong social connections. I was also able to experience today the warm sense of community and the open nature of Mexican people. Muchas gracias. Fifth is Mexico's history. Mexico is home to the largest pyramid in the world. Impressive pyramids, temples, and palaces of Aztec and Mayan civilizations still stand today as examples of the civilization's architectural prowess. These civilizations made significant contribution to the world in variety of areas, including in mathematics, agriculture, astronomy, art, and medicine. And of course, there are many numerous modern contributions that Mexico has made, like popcorns, chewing gum, anti-graffiti paint, indelible ink, earthquake resistance foundation, color TV, and last but not least, chocolate. So much about ChatGPT. Now, I would like to pose a question to you. Which word do you think best describes the current times that we are living in? My choice would be this word, Zeitenwende. It's a German word which means a turning point in history. Just days after Russia's invasion of Ukraine early last year, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz proclaimed the moment to be a Zeitenwende. This was the buzzword for this year's security conference in Munich, Germany, where many diplomats and security experts gathered together to discuss global issues. Zeitenwende has brought about multiple challenges, which we call a polycrisis. Indeed, one can say that we are living in the time of a global polycrisis. The COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, the global technological competition, and the Ukraine crisis. These have been combined to sharpen global energy and food crisis and to ignite the disruption of global supply chain. This poly-crisis cannot be addressed and resolved by any one country. It requires common efforts by the concerned countries and, for that matter, the international community. The Korean government, much like the Mexican government, is acutely aware of the impact of the complex global environmental changes occurring around us. It is in this context that we are seeking to realize the foreign policy vision of becoming a global pivotal state, or GPS in short. The GPS vision we embrace will expand and advance our diplomacy in accordance with Korea's heightened stature and national power today, contributing to a free, peaceful, and prosperous world. GPS has also different meaning. Global positioning system, as you may know, it tells us where we are, and it also tells us where we are going. So Korean foreign policy is now installed with a new GPS device, and we'd like to share our wisdom and our strategy with Mexico in coping with the common challenges, which is the result of this poly-crisis. As you may know, with the help from the Mexican people, Korea recovered from the ashes of war 7 decades ago, becoming one of the world's top economic powerhouses in just over half a century. Our per capita income in 1953, when the Korean War ended, was only $67. Last year, our per capita income recorded more than 35,000, which was the increase of 500 times of personal wealth during the last 70 years. Korea wants to share our experiences with other countries and explore ways to help many developing countries. As a global pivotal state, Korea will support the international community's efforts to navigate through the turbulent waters of a poly-crisis ocean. In order to cope with the challenges of poly-crisis, Korea announced our Indo-Pacific strategy last December. The Indo-Pacific region represents 2/3 of global GDPs and its economic growth. This region is a dynamic center for reshaping global value chain and the hub of international trade and investment flows. Korea launched the Indo-Pacific strategy to declare our commitment to safeguarding freedom, peace, and prosperity through mutually beneficial partnerships based on principles of inclusiveness, trust, and reciprocity. Mexico is Korea's key partner in building a free, peaceful, and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. Our two governments celebrated 60 years of diplomatic relationship last year. But the time spent by two countries together as friends are much longer than that, spanning 100 years of time. Korea-Mexico friendship was founded on blood, sweat, and tears. Even though our countries are located on the opposite side of the Pacific Ocean, with 11,000 kilometers apart geographically, we have an intimate history of people-to-people interaction. In 1905, 1,033 Koreans arrived in the Yucatan Peninsula seeking jobs in the Anakan plantations. Many Korean workers came on 5-year contract, after which they found their country had been lost to a Japanese invasion and annexation in 1910. Now in their 3rd and 4th generations, Korean Mexicans have become an integral part of Mexican society, serving as the bedrock of people-to-people ties between the two countries. 45 years later, when the Korean War broke out, more than 100,000 Mexicans and Mexican Americans fought side by side with the Korean soldiers for freedom and democracy of the country. We will not forget that. It is believed that at least 2,400 casualties were of Mexican origin. Mexican government also provided humanitarian aid in 1951 during the Korean War by donating food and medical supplies amounting to $350,000 US. Korean War, therefore, left a significant mark on Mexican society in the 1950s. Diego Rivera, one of the most renowned Mexican artists, alluded to Korean War in his work, Nightmare of War and the Dream of Peace. Furthermore, 3 movies were filmed on the theme of the Korean War. In 1962, our two governments established diplomatic relations. Since then, our trade and investment relations have continued to expand. And throughout the 1980s, Korea provided training to Mexican fishermen, and companies began to start building factories in Baja California. In 1997, the Korean president, the then president, Kim Young-sam, made a state visit to Mexico. This was the first state visit by the Korean president to Mexico. I remember details of that visit so vividly, as it was my also first visit to Mexico at that time as a young presidential secretary to the president. President Kim and President Cedillo had signed a double taxation treaty and established a bilateral committee of businesses. Korea joined OECD in 1996. That was 2 years after Mexico joined this organization, and Korea began our globalization. 2 years ago, I visited Mexico again as a member of the parliament. Yes. Right. That was my second visit to Mexico. Yeah. That was a day of some special meaning. The people with the black paint on the face and walking along the street. Some special day. Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead, yes. And now this is my third visit as a third visit and first visit as a foreign minister of the Republic of Korea. I'm very honored, therefore, to address the next generation of Mexican diplomats in these halls as the foreign minister of our country. I was one of you in 1977 as the young recruit of the year in the Korean Foreign Ministry, myself. What is important is that both Korea and Mexico remember and commemorate our enduring friendship in times of great adversities and sufferings. Korea has built a hospital in Mérida to honor the first immigrants, Mexican friends and their descendants in 2005. In their honor, the Mexican Congress designated May 4th, which was last week, as the Day of Korean Immigrants in 2021. By elevating our ties to a strategic partnership in 2005, Korea and Mexico have laid a foundation for a future-oriented cooperation. Today, Mexico is Korea's largest trading partner in Latin America. Korea is Mexico's third largest trading partner in the world. Leading Korean companies like Kia, Hyundai, Mando, and POSCO have built factories here in Mexico, creating 150,000 jobs. Mexico is now the 7th largest automobile manufacturer in the world. Many Korean electronic products including circuit boards, ICs, TVs, etc., are actually hecho en Mexico, made in Mexico. Kia, for example, has expanded automobile production line in Monterrey, and many of the core components that go into electric vehicles of many global makers, such as power packs, steel parts, are a result of the operation of Korean companies operating in Mexico. TEPCO, Korean Electric Power Company, the Korean Public Utility Company, have invested in Aguas Calientes to produce renewable energy in northern Mexico. And with the participation of Samsung Engineering at the Olmeca refinery project in Dos Bocas, we look forward to assisting Mexico's goal to produce more energy at home. Indeed, our cooperation is expanding into new areas, including renewable energy, critical minerals, and agriculture. And through the visit of Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard last year to Seoul, we have expanded our partnership into science and technology and begun discussions to explore space together. As mutually trusted strategic partners, we should continue to expand the horizons of our productive and mutually complementary partnership. The potential for our future partnership is unlimited. We are major players in our respective regions. Also, we have very powerful neighbors, such as the United States and China. We are both closely integrated into the international geopolitics and economic environment. Therefore, we must jointly respond to the global holy crisis. But most importantly, we are the two like-minded countries who share common values and interests. It is in the common interest of our two countries to support rules-based international order, founded upon universal values like freedom, democracy, human rights, and rule of law. Being open trading nations with strong manufacturing industry, we are the perfect natural partners for joining hands in tackling the global challenges. From economic security perspective, Mexico has become an increasingly attractive investment destination as the US seeks nearshoring of supply chain. The new economic landscape is opening up new window of opportunity for renewed economic cooperation between the two countries, combining Korea's advanced technology and innovation with Mexico's strong manufacturing sector, plus its status as a production hub in America and rich energy and natural resources will help us turn the challenge of supply chain disruptions and energy crisis into our opportunity. And of course, our cooperation will not be limited to the economic field only. Korea and Mexico co-founded the MICTA to represent the interest of the middle powers in the international arena. The 5 member countries are Mexico, Indonesia, Korea, Turkey, and Australia. These are important and impressive middle powers, and we are also strengthening our cooperation in the G20s, OECD, and other multilateral fora. In the UN climate change negotiations, Korea and Mexico are working together in the Environment Integrity Group. And of course, there is a sports exchange. I know Mexico is a strong country for baseball. It is a popular sport in Korea too. Mexico almost won the World Baseball Classic Championship in Japan, I know. Mexico is also a strong country for Taekwondo, the Korean martial arts. Last year, Mexico hosted the World Taekwondo Championship, which is amazing. And in the women's competition, Mexico won first place. Congratulations. And Mexico is potentially the world champion in the sports of soccer. I still remember when Mexico made it to the quarterfinals in 1970 and 1986. And Mexico will be the first country to host the World Cup 3 times in 2026. In the Russia World Cup in 2018, Korea and Mexico were in the same group with Germany and Sweden. Korea lost to Mexico by 2-1. A very strong team. But we beat Germany by 2-0, which is another strong team, of course. So as a consequence, Korea assisted Mexico to move ahead to the round of 16. Anyway, we will help each other go into the round of 8 in the next World Cups, maybe in Mexico. I would love to come and see how the Mexican teams are doing. Now, I would like to draw your attention to the security environment on the Korean Peninsula. As you may know, North Korea's nuclear and missile program continues to pose a serious threat, not only to the Korean Peninsula, but to the entire Indo-Pacific region and beyond. Since last year, North Korea launched over 80 ballistic missiles, including 11 intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, to test its weapons of mass destruction. This is the highest record of all times. Needless to say, it is a clear violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. North Korea is even threatening to use their tactical nuclear weapons to attack South Korea. This is a clear and present danger. Last year, my President Yoon Suk-yeol, proposed the audacious initiative for a denuclearized, peaceful, and prosperous Korean Peninsula. This embodies my government's positive approach to North Korea. If North Korea embarks on a substantive denuclearization, Republic of Korea will provide a large-scale economic assistance to the North to improve its failing economy. So we want to deter Pyongyang's nuclear threat. We want to dissuade it from developing nuclear weapons, and we want to achieve denuclearization through diplomacy and dialogue. When it comes to denuclearization through diplomacy, I believe I'm in the right place. Ambassador Garcia Robles demonstrated to the world that through diplomacy, creating a nuclear weapons-free zone is possible. His efforts led to the Treaty of Tlatelolco, making Latin America a nuclear weapons-free zone. Mexico is home to the only regional organization in the world entirely dedicated to achieving nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation, OPANAL. In this regard, Mexico has always been a strong advocate for our efforts to achieve complete denuclearization of North Korea. Mexico has constantly issued statements condemning North Korea's provocations, including during its term in the UN Security Council. The international community must demonstrate that our united will to denuclearize North Korea is stronger than its nuclear ambitions. And I ask all of you, the future global leaders of Mexico, to continue to support our efforts to achieve a denuclearized, peaceful, and prosperous Korean Peninsula, which will make our region more safe and stable. Now, I would like to close my remarks. The future ambassadors of Mexico, ladies and gentlemen, Korea and Mexico have always been true friends, supporting each other as compadres. In this spirit of cooperation and partnership, I'm confident that Korea and Mexico will fortify the strategic partnership for common prosperity. Now I try my Spanish again. El escritor mexicano Carlos Fuentes dijo que la amistad es la gran liga inicial entre el hogar y el mundo. Como diplomáticos y como compadres, ojalá que trabajamos juntos para que Corea y México vamos juntos al mundo. Muchas gracias. 감사합니다.
Well, thank you so much for the splendid conference, full of public diplomacy tools, Mr. Foreign Minister. I wonder, there are some questions, Q&A time for the Foreign Minister in case any of you would like to raise a question. Jimena.
Gracias. Thank you so much, Secretary. My question is regarding the diplomatic competency assessment of the Korean Diplomatic Academy. What is the method you use to prepare new diplomats? And which is the type of competencies that you are developing in your new recruits? Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, for your wonderful presentation. My question is regarding this context of public diplomacy and country image. How does Hallyu influence the Korean global positioning and growth?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, thank you very much for your conference. It was really interesting. And I would like to know what are Korea's top priorities on the G20 agenda during the Indian presidency in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Park Jin. My question falls more in the realm of commercial affairs. Therefore, I will preface it with slight context. In Mexico, the government authority that is responsible for free trade agreement negotiations is the Ministry of Economy, although it does receive some substantial support from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we take into consideration what you said about the commercial terms and commercial relationship between Mexico and Korea that has been constantly growing, and we combine it with the declaration of intent to sign a free trade agreement between both nations. I would like to know if you could please explain how the Korean government is organized with respect to free trade agreement negotiations, and to what extent is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs involved in this regard? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your 4 questions, which are very important. Our Foreign Ministry's Diplomatic Academy commemorates 60th anniversary this year. So we have accumulated some experiences and also trials and errors in our course development for the young diplomats. As I mentioned, was one of the new recruits in 1977 and went through 1 year of diplomatic training in that academy. We have been implementing our own competency assessment, diplomatic competency assessment, and competency building training since 2006 to improve overall capabilities and qualifications as diplomats. Ministry of Foreign Affairs selected 3 core competencies of foreign service officers. First is network building, how to build network with the people whom you meet for the first time. 2, diplomatic and of course negotiations. You have to discuss and negotiate important issue for your national interest. And 3, crisis management. So in these 3 areas, we are implementing simulation training and assessment for senior and counselor level candidates to cultivate the competencies of the foreign service. We also emphasize strategic thinking in terms of how you present yourself and how to find the core problems of the complex situation and to represent your position in a very articulated way. Mediation and integration is an important aspect of this training. The performance orientedness, internal conflict management, guidance and coaching. And these are all related aspects of our competency assessment program. So I hope that Korean Diplomatic Academy and the Mexican Instituto can cooperate together to create synergy in our training and also developing a diplomatic skills and strategic thinking between the two countries. With regard to the Hallyu, the Korean wave, I think that the reason why Hallyu has becoming popular in the world is perhaps because Koreans are very natural. We want to express our feelings in a very straightforward way. We love singing and dancing, and we love our families, our friends, and we are very community-oriented people. I guess you may see that many Korean dramas about the people interrelationship among the people in the family, in the workplace, and other places. So it is, from our viewpoint, natural development that Korean culture and Korean characters are being attracted by many countries in the world. But most important thing is that I think that government did not push for Hallyu. Rather than pushing it, deregulation of government policy, I think was more helpful in creating this Hallyu sphere of influence, because it was mainly initiated by private efforts. Korean actors and actresses, singers and dancers, filmmakers, and artists, they naturally expanded their work operations and to communicate with other people, their friends in foreign countries. And now, because of Netflix, perhaps the Korean culture is more widely known than before. So our president visited Washington this time, and we met with a Netflix CEO who committed to invest more into Korean market to produce more Korean dramas and Korean films. So I guess many Mexican people could be able to enjoy Korean dramas much more in the future. Please give us a lot of feedback so that we can improve our artistic talent. As the popularity of Hallyu increases, the Korean lifestyle reflected in the Korean wave contents is also spreading. I think it helps Korea to be known to many countries. We were not very good at explaining ourselves before, but now we know that Korea has to explain itself and to communicate more actively with the international community. At the same time, we are making efforts, and we should make efforts to expand the potential of Korean wave contents that can contribute to solving global challenges, such as climate change, health crisis, and polarization of high technology. So I think those are the tasks that Korea is now faced with. About the G20, the role of G20 and Korea's goal, I think this is a very important organization and group in the world to deal with mounting challenges in an age of poly-crisis. A range of complex challenges, including climate change, food and energy security, can be addressed only through global cooperation and solidarity. It cannot be solved by any one country, as I mentioned. The G20 is the most important forum for international economic cooperation. It needs to play a more central role. Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol mentioned that in Davos Forum in Switzerland early this year, Korea is committed to contributing constructively to strengthening cooperation of the G20 in dealing with global challenges. We will play our role as a member of the G20 and also as a global pivotal state, so that the New Delhi summit this year, now India is now chairing the G20 forum. The New Delhi summit, we hope, can deliver concrete outcomes in addressing important global issues, promoting economic growth, dealing with the digital divide, and advancing clean energy transition, and strengthening the global health architecture. I visited India 3 weeks ago to meet with my counterpart, Dr. Jaishankar, Foreign Minister of India, to discuss what would be the main agenda of the G20 summit this year and how we can cooperate to delineate the important agenda and to produce a productive outcome after the summit meeting. About the FTA, I hope that Korea-Mexico FTA negotiations can make some visible progress. It has been stalled for some time, but I think there are many reasons why we should come into closer free trade partners for the mutual benefits of our two countries. As I mentioned, many Korean companies are investing in Mexico, and we want to have a more tariff-free trading practices between the two countries so that we can widen and expand the scope of the products that we can share together. And the North American market is becoming more important and more consolidated. So Mexico is a gateway to North America from our viewpoint, and Korea is the gateway to Eurasia from your viewpoint. So despite this 11,000 kilometers of geopolitical distance, we should narrow our commercial partnership through the conclusion of the free trade agreement as soon as possible. Korea is already Mexico's third largest trading partner, and Mexico is Korea's largest trading partner in Latin America. So it is very natural that we should move towards closer free trade partnership. Korea-Mexico free trade will certainly realize the potential that we have and will institutionalize a new future of Korea-Mexico economic partnership. And thank you for your good questions. Thank you. Yeah, maybe let's move to the Prime Minister. I'm meeting
Ministro
with
tiene que
Foreign
moverse a
Minister.
la secretaría, se va a reunir
Marcelo.
con el
You'll be there.
canciller Ebrard. Vamos a tomar una foto aquí con los becarios. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent questions.
Le solicitamos permitir primero la foto oficial del evento y después la siguiente fotografía.